The Blitz is the most insane electric unicycle Begode had ever released. Well, actually, what do you mean? This is from Begode, the high-performance electric unicycle company. Yeah, but have you tried looking at the spec of this wheel? Yeah. What do you mean 134 volt? C30 motor? What is this, 2020? Scratch the script. We gotta figure out what the heck is going on with this wheel. The Begode Blitz is one of the very first electric unicycle designed for racing.
The race is on.
And yes, Begode certainly have a history of producing electric unicycle favored by competitive racers like the MSX, the EX30, and the Master. All 34 variants of it were all popular, but none of them carry the racing moniker.
Like a flaying decal, does adding the word racing to the name of a product make it faster?
Of course it does. If you're a good little consumer, then you know that you ought to believe 100% what a commercial tells you, and that drinking a Bud Light absolutely make you slim and attractive, obviously. But I'm willing to give Begode just a little bit more road given their past history of producing great high-performance wheels. And I do have to caveat that by saying that they often do so by tossing a whole lot of you-know-what at the wall to see what sticks.
Lucky. Yes, lucky.
So the Blitz may just as likely to be brilliant as it is to be a stinker. And things does not look promising starting out, as the raw specification don't exactly look promising. The Begode Blitz is 134 volt just like the Master and the Extreme, and carries a 2400 watt-hour Samsung 50S high discharge battery pack, again same as the Master V4 and the Extreme.
Weight saving was listed as a key feature, and with the Blitz coming in 15-pound lighter than the Master V4 and 10 pounds lighter than the Lynx, they did deliver on their promise. But is 10 pounds really that much of a difference?
But it isn't how much weight you got, but how you carry that weight that really matters. And unlike your fried chicken loving friend,
not fat, you're big boned.
That's what I said.
For an EUC, you want that weight to be as low as possible to keep things stable and civilized doing risky maneuvers. And the Blitz also look rather promising in that regard, since its center of weight is lower to the ground.
On top of that, the Blitz also carries a secret weapon from the bygone era of suspensionless electric unicycle, a high-speed C32 motor.
Back during the medieval age of electric unicycle, and that is the 2020s, when 84-volt dinosaurs still roamed the earth, and wars over EUC supremacy was fought with stick and stone, and contests to see who can cut out at the highest speed. There were two types of wheels you could have bought, either slower high-torque motor or wheels with high-speed motor. And obviously you want the high-speed variant, so you could be cool and go faster than everyone else. Then you cut out and crack your head open. But then let's not talk about that.
In recent years, most of the EUC companies had gone with the high-torque motor for the added safety margin and increased low-end responsiveness to offset reduction from adding a suspension that dampens control and feedback. But a high-speed motor fundamentally rides very differently than a high-torque motor, and it is also something that an old-school rider like me have been missing for some time. Which brings us to the review.
As usual, I'm gonna rate the Begode Blitz based on 4 different criteria, and they are design, ride quality, performance, and finally, value. On a scale of 1 to 5. First, a quick shout out to Jason at eWheels for sending me this Blitz for review purposes, but as usual, the opinion expressed is strictly my own. And check out my shop at themosfet.com for EUC accessory and swags. Now, as much as the Blitz may look like a traditional Begode wheels, in many ways it is not very Begode at all. Not only is it sealed and waterproof, it actually carries an official IP67 rating, which means that this wheel can technically be submerged in 3 feet deep water up to 30 minutes. Where's my crappy seals and cardboard gasket, Begode? And taking a page out of the Leaperkin Lynx playbook, it is also made out of premium lightweight magnesium
titanium alloy to save weight. I thought Begode was supposed to be made out of cheap Chinesians. Isn't that what makes them fast? There is an excellent headlight, which is a sentence I had never used in a prior Begode review. It's bright and very adjustable and create this distinctive round-shaped light that also make you very visible to the other drivers. A functional headlight from Begode. I find that insulting. There's also a legit battery management system with actual individual cell tracking. How's Begode going to maintain their lead with wheel fires if they continue to make safety improvement like this? There's even a carbon fiber mudguard and a stable, durable, and very functional kickstand. Premium materials and convenient options? I think that's going to jeopardize my street cred as a EUC racer. For those loyal traditionalist Begode wheel rider who insists that extreme performance must go hand in hand with shit build quality, you can at least be comforted in knowing that the trolley handle is still a joke. So does this new smaller LED display that is dimmer and awkwardly placed so that it is only visible if you happen to have eyes down where your balls are. Seriously, look how well it works if you are the lucky few to be so blessed. And it wouldn't be fair if I don't point out the fact that this is in fact a very good looking wheel, even better than the ET Max if you ask me, since I think they did a much better job with shaping the front end to integrate the handle as well as the headlight. All of this brings us to an uncomfortable truth. Did Begode actually produce a well-designed wheel with the Blitz? I just can't bring myself to say it, so what am I for design? Now that the Blitz gave me COVID, it's time to move on to how it rides. First time I set foot on a Blitz, I was like, oh man, it's my old friend, the high-speed motor. And just like your old high school friends, this wheel had picked up a few pounds, gone through an ugly divorce, and can't quite party as hard no more. And although suspension is probably the greatest advancement for electric unicycle in recent years, the price you pay for that cushy ride is reduced responsiveness and dampened feedback from being disconnected from the axle. The original MSX is underpowered compared to a modern high voltage wheel, but you wouldn't think it if you ever try riding one. It feels much more immediate and reactive, and part of it is that direct connection to the axle, motor, and road with greater leverage for inputs and feedback, but part of it is also how a high-speed motor responds. If the high-torque motor feels like an angry rhino, then the high-speed motor feels like a nimble cheetah. There is a sense of eagerness that you get through motor frequency and responses that you don't get from a high-torque motor. And if you like classic Gotway ride feels, then this is the wheel for you. Perfect pairing with your 90s greatest hits CD collections, your precious Nintendo Power Gloves, and your last can of color hairspray left from your high school prom. Except that you also get the benefit of the latest gen suspension design, which improves on the suspension from the ET Max. This time Begode went back to their earlier and more customizable air springs, and the result is a stiff but responsive ride. And although not as cushy as the hydraulic shock from lubricant wheels, the Blitz suspension may actually be better in a race sitting on the road since it feels tighter and more responsive. The only negative I can find is the speed wobble that you get occasionally from the much stiffer tubeless tire on bad road surfaces. Nothing that you can't learn to compensate for with time, so the Blitz gets a 4 out of 5 for ride quality. Does the Begode Blitz live up to its
race aspiration? The answer is no. From the perspective of peak performance, that is. The higher voltage and high torque super electric unicycle, like the Lynx and the 18 Max, will always have an edge when it comes to acceleration and braking. And for competitive EUC racers with the skill to push those wheels to their limit, the microseconds of advantage they can gain will be crucial. However, for the rest of us mere mortals with families and day jobs who simply aspire to learn to ride like the pros, the agile and high-revving Begode Blitz all of a sudden start to look very attractive.
The high-speed motor paired perfectly to a tight and responsive suspension, and the stock tubeless road tire are exactly what you need to conquer the tracks. So is the narrower and more ergonomic profile and lower center of gravity, confident and inspiring for practicing cornering maneuvers.
And although the Begode Blitz can match the power output from the higher voltage super wheels, neither does it suffer from their penalties of greater size and weight. For a lightweight, 55 miles per hour capable wheel, the Begode Blitz earns a 4 out of 5 for performance. Finally, let's talk about value. At $3,200, the Begode Blitz is still on the expensive side of the EUC price range. $3,000, still a lot of money, but not quite as crazy as the 4,000 plus super wheels like the Sherman L or the GT Pro. Its main competitor, the Leaper Kitten Lynx, is more powerful and have a slightly larger battery pack and slightly cushier suspension, but it's also $800 more and 10 pounds heavier. There is also Begode's prior favorite race wheel, the EX30, which does carry a significantly larger battery pack and a higher output high torque motor, but does come at the price of significantly more weight and crotch stretching size. There's also a few gray 16-inch 134 volt option like the Emotion V14 or Begode's own Extreme. However, for high speed riding, I think the additional stability you get from having an 18/20-inch wheel is crucial. As a well-built and pretty well-priced wheel, the Begode Blitz earns a 4 out of 5 for value.
But as someone obsessed with performance and speed, I did not love this wheel. It wasn't until the very last night I had that it finally clicked. I was lightly geared and loose from the Code 9 Air, and the Blitz revel in the tighter and smaller streets of the Lower East Side. Without the aggressive traffic I usually have to compete with, I was able to carve and ride in deep, sweet turns, and that is when I realized that this is the exact same condition you will encounter on a medium-sized track, and that the Blitz can deliver a beautiful ride if what you are looking for is lightness, agility, and fun. There you have it. Are you convinced that the Blitz is the race EUC you've been waiting for, or is it still too Begode for its own good? Well, that is what the comment section below is for. And you know what? Once again, I rambled on too long and somehow managed to waste another 15 minutes of your life, but I hope you enjoyed it. Shout out to my supporter on Patreon. Please check out the link in the video description below if you enjoy and like to support my work. And as always, as much as we all love electric unicycle, the only way for us to get better wheel is to grow as a community. So tell your friend, teach them how to ride, and get them hooked. Until the next video, thank you.